Yes guys, so I just wanted to jump on quick and discuss two of my most recent clients that I've been working with, Maxine and Clarissa. Now, they are a mother and daughter duo, and we've been working together now for only a couple of weeks, so it's still very much early days. But over the last couple of weeks we've had a couple coaching calls and we've narrowed down on a few things, ran some tests, gathered some data, and I feel like we're getting closer to going on some viewings and making some offers. So I thought it'd be valuable for someone watching this just to have a chat with you really about what we've discussed on our coaching calls and what our plan is going forward, and why I'm so sure that rent to rent will work for these two. So a little bit about Clarissa and Maxine. They're based in Nottingham, which is a very good area for property rental in general. They already have a portfolio of properties, which is worth mentioning. So we don't only work with complete newbies, we also work with people that have existing property portfolios, or you know, they may have a couple rent to rents themselves already and we help them scale, right? So you may have one or two rent to rents and want more cash flow. Maybe you feel like you're a bit stuck, or you're at a bottleneck and you want to get to 5-6 rent to rents. We can help you do that. Maybe you already have a portfolio of buy-to-lets or HMOs like Clarissa and Maxine, and you want to add to that portfolio with some rent to rent properties to boost your cash flow. So we can help you do that as well. But anyway, I digress. They've already got a portfolio of properties that has allowed them both to quit the 9 to 5, right? So they're not working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week in a job. They have time to put into their business, so that's obviously an advantage, and that's going to help them secure rent to rent deals quicker, because the more time and effort you put into something, the quicker you get results. So on our first couple coaching calls, we've been looking at properties that Maxine and Clarissa are being almost offered by their existing network. So they have an existing network of landlords who have properties, and before we tap into the open market and start trying to find potential rent to rents on the open market, I always advise my clients to tap into their immediate network first, right? I think that can be where you can find good deals quite quickly, and obviously the trust is already built in your immediate network. So that's the first place that we'll look. So over the last couple of weeks we've had a couple calls and we've analysed a couple properties, one in Mansfield and another one I think in Nottingham. So what we've done is we've ran some tests on these properties. So we've set up some dummy ads on the relevant platforms just to see what type of inquiries we get, to play around with the price point and see if the pricing would work and if there would be a good enough margin for us. Also to see if we can attract the right type of tenants to live in there, so working professionals that are going to pay around $500 a month per room. That's the sort of goal that we were aiming for. So we set up a couple dummy ads over the last 10 days or so and gathered data. So on our first call, that was the plan, set up some dummy ads, and then on our second call we looked over the data to see if it was worthwhile making an offer on. And the data we got back wasn't great. We didn't get the type of inquiries that we normally look for from working people. Most of the inquiries were from people that were on benefits, which we have nothing against, but that's just not our ideal type of of tenant. So didn't get good results on that basis. Lots of inquiries just from the wrong type of people. But what was interesting was we did get a message from someone who was previously renting the property on a rent-to-rent basis, and Maxine and Clarissa had a chat with this person, and they informed them that the property was not in the best condition. It had quite a lot of damp. It was quite hard work in terms of keeping it maintained well, and they actually had it on a rent-to-rent, but they decided to give it back because it wasn't making any money and it was more effort and work than it was worth. So that was a good bit of insight for the ladies, because that helped us make a decision not to take that property on, right? So this is why we run tests, so we can make informed decisions. So that was a good bit of information that we got on that property. We also looked at another nicer property that we was thinking about running as an Airbnb, a serviced accommodation unit. So we set up a dummy ad on booking.com and we waited to see if we got any inquiries. But again, there wasn't many inquiries over the week, and the landlord wanted maximum rent for that one. So in that particular area that it was in, it didn't seem to attract the right type of guests that we want, you know, working people, corporate people, contractors. Those are the type of guests that we want coming to stay if you're doing service accommodation. And it didn't seem to be attracting those types of people. It didn't get many inquiries at all. So again, we decided to not go ahead with that one. But this is why we test, so that we can make informed decisions. So many people make the mistake of taking on any property with rent to rent and just hoping that it does well. And that isn't what I teach. I try and teach people to take on deals that we know are going to make money and cash flow. Otherwise, what's the point, right? You're just basically putting loads of effort into something and working for free, which isn't what we're trying to achieve here. We want to build cash flowing businesses that allow you to, one, escape your 9 to 5 and replace your income, and two, grow and scale to 5k, 10k a month. And you're not going to do that with underperforming properties. So some good tests that we've done this week, some good data that we've learned over the last couple of weeks, and that's helped us know what we don't want, which has been really good. So I can't stress enough how important it is to run tests before you take on rent-to-rent properties. Make sure they cash flow, make sure they're going to be profitable, and make sure they're going to work for you. So on our most recent call last week, we looked at a third property, which again is from Maxine and Clarissa's immediate network. And this one is, I think it's a 3-bed house in Nottingham. I think one of Maxine's friends has bought it for around £125,000. And we looked over this property. It's in good condition. It needs maybe a little bit of tidying up, but it's about a 7 out of 10 in terms of condition. It's relatively modern. It doesn't need loads of work doing to it, but it could do with some nice furniture, some nice staging, and of course some good marketing. And I think it could attract inquiries on booking.com and Airbnb, but also it could work for working professionals who want to stay there maybe by the week as well. So it's got potential. So this is the third property that we've looked over, and it's looking pretty good at the moment. Maxine's going to go back and try and arrange a viewing at the property at some point. And again, we're going to run some tests over the next week, which they should be doing now, to see if there's the demand for that type of property in that particular area. And yeah, that's the third property that we're analysing. So hopefully third time's the charm, but we're getting closer and closer to finding the right type. I think this property could really do well. It's similar to some of mine in terms of price and condition. It's got parking. As I said, this this friend of theirs is in their immediate network, so the trust is already there, and she's open to offers, whether she wants to work with a letting agent or whether she'd like to get a guaranteed rent offer from Maxine and Clarissa. That'll be down to her, but she's very open to having a company tenant, so we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, hopefully this is some valuable insight for you guys who are watching this and wondering what my clients and I discuss on our weekly Zoom calls. This is what we do. We look at deals, we analyze them, we run tests, and eventually we make informed decisions once we've gathered enough data and we feel sure that we're going to make some money. I've been enjoying working with Maxine and Clarissa. They're really switched on, really focused, and it won't be long before we find our first deal. We're not going to rush, but at the same time I do feel like they've employed me to create some urgency and just to have a second opinion, you know, because they already know so much about property. They're already savvy property investors in their own right, but they just need me to come into their business and give them my opinion, and hopefully that can help them scale, because they're already doing so well. From their portfolio already, I think Maxine mentioned they're making the best part of 90 odd to 100,000 pounds a year, and it's only a small portfolio, but because they have some of the houses rented to social housing providers and some of the houses rented on Airbnb, they're really maximizing their rental yield, you know, so they're doing really well. And as I said, they both quit the 9 to 5, so they can really focus on scaling now and adding some rent-to-rent properties to their existing portfolio. And Maxine did mention that she's enjoying the process, which is always nice for me to hear, because I'm enjoying working with them too, right? It's a two-way thing, and a good mentor can only be as good as their mentees, right? So we have a good synergy, which is really good. So we'll keep looking at properties from their immediate network, and once we've exhausted those properties, we'll start looking at properties on the open market. If you're watching this video and you're new to property and you're new to rent and you're wondering how to analyze a deal, then I suggest you do exactly what I'm doing with my clients at the moment. I suggest you run some tests before you take anywhere on, set up some dummy ads, gather data, go and view the property, of course, look at the area, see if it's a good fit for short to medium term tenants and guests. Is there parking? Are you close to transport, train stations, bus stops? Because working professionals sometimes don't drive, so good transport links help. Is there businesses and things happening in the area? People hubs, places where your type of guest or tenant will be working. Do your research, run some tests, and then make an informed decision. So if you want me to help you start or scale your rent-to-rent business, then I'll put a link in the video description below. Click the link, book in a free call. On that call we'll have a chat and see if we're a good fit for each other. If not, that's fine too. Keep watching the videos, keep learning, and I wish you all the success. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.